10. Satan defeated by faith. Job's story ends not just with restoration, but with eternal vindication. Though he never learned the full scope of the cosmic battle that had raged over his life, his steadfastness became one of the greatest victories in all of Scripture, not just for himself, but for heaven. What unfolded in the land of Uz was far more than personal tragedy or miraculous recovery. It was a courtroom drama in which faith stood trial and love for God was tested without reward. Satan's accusation had been simple, brutal, and universal. No one serves God for nothing. In other words, humanity's devotion is fake, bought with blessings and forged in comfort. But Job proved him wrong, not with eloquence, not with miracles, but with bruised faith that refused to die. What made Job's victory so powerful was not that he endured, it was how he endured. He did not curse God, he did not renounce his faith. He asked questions, yes, he wept, he grieved, he cursed the day of his birth. But he never cursed the God who gave him life. And when his friends wounded him further with false accusations, he still pleaded for divine justice, not vengeance. Job's faith wasn't blind, but it was anchored. It trembled, but it did not tear. It staggered, but it did not surrender. And in that, Satan was silenced. The accuser who had once stood before God's throne and declared that no man could serve God without reward, now had nothing to say. The courtroom had spoken. Job's life was the evidence, his endurance was the verdict, and heaven had won. In fact, the book of Job does not end with Satan speaking again because there was nothing left for him to say. The dragon was defeated not by angels, not by divine force, but by the unwavering trust of one faithful servant who chose to bless God in the fire. Job's story is more than a tale of suffering. It is a prophetic portrait of every believer's journey. His life mirrors the very mission of Christ, who would later suffer without cause, be accused without guilt, and triumph through obedience. Job became a type of Christ, a shadow of the suffering servant who would intercede for sinners, forgive enemies, and be vindicated in the end. The ashes of Uz point forward to the cross of Calvary, where silence was again broken, where love again endured, and where the enemy again lost. Even today, Satan continues his assault against the righteous. He walks to and fro, still accusing, still whispering that faith is fake and love is for sale. But every time a believer worships through weeping, every time a soul says, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust him," the echo of Job's victory is heard again in the heavens. Faith, true, tested, raw, unshaken faith, is the greatest weapon against darkness. Job did not need a sword. He did not need an army. He had trust, and that alone crushed the enemy's lie. The man who once sat in ashes and scraped his skin with broken pottery became a symbol of immortal perseverance. His legacy is not just in his children, his livestock, or his restored fortune. It is in the testimony that still speaks across generations. "You have heard of the perseverance of Job," James would write centuries later, "and seen the end intended by the Lord, that the Lord is very compassionate and merciful." James chapter 5:11. Job's life answers the most agonizing question of all. Can God still be trusted when nothing makes sense? And his life shouts back across time, yes, even when it hurts, even when it's silent, even when you lose everything. Yes, God is still worthy. Job's story began in peace, unraveled in pain, and finished in praise. And through it all, one eternal truth emerged. Satan was defeated, not by force, but by faith.